Welcome to a journey of transformation and discovery, where we'll unveil a hidden power residing within each of us, a key to realizing the deepest desires that dwell in our hearts. Did you know that we can shape reality in our favor by creating a future where our dreams are already manifested? The secret lies in learning to occupy a desired state where what we wish for becomes part of who we are. Imagine a world where we don't need to rely on others or circumstances to achieve what we want. This world is possible, and in it, you have the power to mold your destiny, becoming the star of your own production. Today, I'll reveal the power of imagination, visualization, and emotional connection with your deepest desires. I'll guide you through an exercise that will lead you to occupy this desired state without asking permission from anyone, simply using your inner power. Don't be fooled by appearances, as what you'll see goes beyond the boldest expectations. Tune into this intriguing mystery. Discover how we can turn our dreams into an undeniable truth. When you master this skill, you'll find that the spiritual states of the soul are eternal, and the possibilities for your life will expand beyond what you ever imagined. All this and more we'll learn and understand now. Therefore, it's crucial to watch this video until the end to comprehend the complete concept of the lesson to be conveyed. Always remember that knowledge is a treasure that no one can take away from you, and action is the fundamental key to putting into practice what we learn. Subscribe to our channel to continue receiving transformative content like this. Share your experiences and reflections with us in the comments below, and together, let's enrich this discussion and transform our lives. Thank you all. Live the answer now. Every fact is a dream made visible. So I invite you to live as if your dreams were already a fact. I'm convinced that every dream or desire I used to live in the now gradually blossomed inadvertently into a fact in my life. I also know, not only from personal experience but from eternal vision, that the spiritual states of the soul are eternal. Like a traveler, the individual passes through states, but the states remain forever. Without the help of any man or government, you can lose everything you possess and become independent of society. All you need to do is enter the state of poverty or wealth without asking for help. You could assume wealth by occupying the state. Remain faithful to it, and you'll discover that the state has its own way of externalizing itself. However, you must give occupation to the desired state, in the same way that you would occupy a state by wondering how you would feel, what you would see, hear, touch, taste, and smell if your dream were real. Take the time to set the scene, being the star of your production. Place yourself at the center of the stage and allow a friend to enter and see you in your new state. Write the script, the words they would say upon seeing you, feel their touch, and dress yourself with the reality of the state you've just created in your imagination. You don't need to ask permission or help from anyone, but by entering the new state in your imagination, simply remain there until you feel its reality and let that feeling guide you towards realization. A friend recently wrote, wondering why I read the Bible but never go to church. Another friend brought a group of Mormon missionaries to convert me. Unfortunately, I invited them, but no matter what I said, they didn't listen. Instead, they expressed their own opinions and didn't let me speak that night. As I reflected on my day, I thought about these people and wondered how someone could dedicate so much love, devotion, sincerity, time, energy, and money to what I considered reverent nonsense. During this contemplation, I fell asleep and had a dream. I found myself in a strange and surreal land with craters everywhere. Hundreds of people were walking along a long road, leaving behind a girl possessed by a screaming voice. Curious, just as I am here, I wanted to see the girl. When I saw her, full of compassion, I sat next to her and hugged her to offer sympathy. Suddenly, the voice began to scream inside me, and the girl got up and left, completely healed. When I woke up, I revealed to my friend how one must be insightful when contemplating something. You become the very thing you contemplate, entertaining a state of sympathy. My friend entered into that night, and his heavenly Father taught him a great lesson. No matter how awake someone is in this world, no one is exempt from falling into a Blakean state. Blake understood this truth when he said, "From this I perceive that neither the righteous nor the wicked are in a supreme state, but that each of them is in a state of sleep, where the soul can fall into its mortal dreams of good and evil." Upon leaving paradise following the serpent, the wisest of God's creations, the serpent, personification of God's wisdom and power, said to the woman, "Surely you will not die, but you will become gods, knowing good and evil, entering a world of death." You may seem to die to those who cannot follow, but not to yourself. Instead, they restore you to an inexplicably young body. You can leave an old body, hairless and toothless, only to find yourself in a new, healthy body with hair and teeth intact. I know this is true because my vision is open, and I have seen those who have departed from this life. I know they haven't gone, but have been restored to use a new, young, and healthy body. Now, a state can be entered deliberately or unconsciously, but you will become what you contemplate. The wise of the world believe we are heading towards the end, but for Blake, that end already occurred while on the cross. The words "it is finished" were uttered. That era has already ended, and it is a completely different era towards which we are all heading. According to Blake, space was a woman, and everything within it was man, and man was God. Blake saw the world as a 6,000-year work, with a door opening to Eden every 200 years. We may think we are moving in one direction, but everything is happening now, and every 200 years, an individual can enter the new age. Let me now share a vision that a lady had, where she narrated the dream of the screaming girl. One night, while mentally reliving her day, a long table appeared before her inner eye. A judge dressed in black with a white wig was sitting at one end, holding a gavel and looking directly at her. The judge raised the gavel, lowered it on the table, and proclaimed to the eyewitness in the present. The term in progress means to allow passage. It is a flow that moves inward like a sponge placed in water. This lady has been conditioned by divine providence to receive spiritual communion, whether she likes it or not. She will be forced to receive it because she is already awake. She will bring vision after vision in parallel with the scriptures. The scriptures simply record the finished story. Blake described the Bible as the divine law written from Horeb of Sinai, which is the Old Testament, to the Holy Gospel of the Mount of Olives and Calvary, which represents the New Testament. Every conceivable role that a man could play is openly described in the Old Testament, as each individual recorded there represents a state of this era. The New Testament describes the entry into the new era. It seems to have happened to one person as a biography, but the New Testament records the development of an individual. Blake's poem, Lost Child, captures a true revelation. Nothing loves another as itself, nor venerates another in that way, nor is it possible to think of something greater than oneself. I know no greater thought than this, that God, the creator of all life, to be known and loved by you, must become you. He cannot discover anything beyond himself, therefore it was necessary for God to become you, so that you can become as he is. If God does not become you, you could never know him. Being a thinking being, you are incapable of knowing a thought greater than yourself. For God, the Father of all life, to be known and loved by you, he must become you. As he is a father, he must have a son. Therefore, one day, the Son of God, David, will call him Father, and his true identity will be revealed. There is no other way to discover his fatherhood. I urge you to dream nobly, even though your dream may seem impossible. Enter it with the feeling of being in your consciousness, feeling it is real. Use that feeling as if it were a garment, and persist until the feeling acquires the tones of reality. Do this, and in a way that no one knows, your desire will appear as an eruption of your continuous thought. Your desire was set in motion when you carried it. Its appearance is simply a hidden continuity that has come to the surface. Reflect on a thought and you'll realize that it's not original, and the thought itself is complete. Therefore, every thought is a divine plagiarism. Enter a mental state and observe the thoughts that come to you while you're there. If you want to be known, enter the state of feeling recognized as you move. When the feeling becomes familiar, you'll be surprised to see how things rearrange themselves and you get the publicity you desire. It may not be very flattering, but if you really want to be known, you'll be all that you desire. Believe that you have received and you will receive. Know that you want it. Assume that you have it and don't let anyone divert you. Do your fathers will by believing in the feeling of your fulfilled desire. Experience this simple principle, as it will not fail you. But remember, you are your own power, as it does not operate alone. I can tell you how to move to another state, but you must enter it. No one can do it for you. States are permanent, and it's up to you to leave the one that currently seems undesirable to you. One day, a lady in New York City came to see me due to stomach problems. While she was here, we talked about higher things and, after a silence, she returned to her home in Staten Island. Upon arrival, she went to a favorite German restaurant and ate all the food she hadn't eaten in years, without adverse effects. I didn't give this lady pills. I don't even know what her stomach looks like. I simply encouraged her to leave the state of having a bad stomach. Abandon the state that contains poverty and change to the state that contains wealth, and wealth will become a reality. This room has reality and substance because you're thinking about it. Think of a room, and it's just a shadow. Think of a state, and it seems to be just a possibility. But enter thinking from the state, and it's the only reality. Blake said, if the spectator could enter the picture in his imagination, if he could make the image his friend and companion, he would rise from the grave and find the Lord in the air. Now, buried in a state, you are a spectator of other states. But if you rise from your current state and bury yourself in another, you will express it. If you can be what you want to be, why not become that? Why stay in a state you don't like and argue when you can move to another state in your imagination? Once you have entered the state of your fulfilled desire, don't be like Lot's wife. Don't look back at your previous state and preserve it, because salt is a preservative. Every character in the Bible is a state of consciousness that you, an individual, will pass through, as you are immortal. Having descended into a world of death, you pass through states, but you cannot die. Blake tells us that the oak is cut down by the axe and the lamb is stopped by the knife, but their eternal forms remain forever. Leave this garment and you will instantly enter another. 90% of those who pass away don't know what happens. We observe their passing and think they died, but they don't die to themselves. They don't even recognize the change, just as you don't when you're sleeping. The moment you realize you're dreaming, you wake up. But if you don't wake up, you've passed through the door we call death to continue your dreams. In your nightly dream, you take everything for granted until you start to realize that you're dreaming. If you wake up, try to grab a solid object like a post, not an animal, no matter how tame it seems. Hold on to the object, and wish to wake up, and you will wake up in your dream to find yourself in a world as real as this one. When this happens, don't panic, because you will return. Instead, if you have any red blood, explore the world you find yourself in, and you'll discover that the people there are as stupid, ambitious, and asleep as they are here. I have been excluded from this world many times, only to return and find this catalytic body, perhaps for 20 or 25 seconds before I can animate it again. If one day I don't return, doctors will dissect the body to see why I died. They will draw some conclusions, but if they are honest with themselves, they will know that there was no physical reason for my death. I simply left and didn't return. But while you're here, why not live well? I think we all agree that it's easier to live when we have wealth than when we are poor. I have no desire for many things, but if something can be mine through the simple act of assumption, why not assume it? No power on earth can prevent you from imagining. The morning newspaper records what happened but doesn't report on the cause. Who knows who is dreaming about what's happening today? 2 years ago, I saw the Kentucky Derby on television. William Camaquero was riding a horse that was the favorite to win the race. The night before the race, the horse's owner had a dream in which he saw Camaquero leading by lengths and miscalculating the finish line, dismounting from the saddle too early. That's exactly what happened. It was a miscalculation, a real shock. He miscalculated the finish line and, realizing his mistake, couldn't gather enough energy again to win the race, losing it instead. But who controlled his sister's behavior? The owner told his jockey about the dream before the race, and he listened attentively. In the physical event, he could do nothing about it. He took the wrong line, was disqualified, and received his punishment. It was a financial loss for him. But it was a loss that wouldn't have occurred if the jockey hadn't had the dream. When this happens, don't panic, because you will return. Instead, if you have any red blood, explore the world you find yourself in and you'll discover that the people there are as foolish, ambitious, and asleep as they are here. But while you're here, why not live well? I think we all agree that it's easier to live when we have wealth than when we are poor. I have no desire for many things, but if something can be mine through the simple act of assumption, why not assume it? No power on earth can prevent you from imagining. The morning newspaper records what happened but doesn't report on the cause. Who knows who is dreaming about what's happening today? 2 years ago, I saw the Kentucky Derby on television. William Camaquero was riding a horse that was the favorite to win. You don't need to have a night dream to influence others' behavior, you can dream during the day and influence them. Since everyone is contained within you, everything you see, although it seems to be outside, is within your imagination, of which this mortal world is only a shadow. In William Blake's words, if everyone is contained within you, you don't need their permission to be used to externalize your dream. The owner used the horse, the jockey, and everyone who bet on the event to externalize his dreams. He entered the state unknowingly but couldn't escape its effects. He lost the race just as he had imagined. You can sit quietly and enter a glorious dream. If it's elusive, you're not in it. Persist until you enter, and it will become the only living reality in the state of your fulfilled desire. Now, knowing that in an unknown and inadvertent way, it will burst forth to become an objective fact. Accept the challenge of the scriptures. Whatever you desire, believe that you have received it, and you will receive it. Dare to believe that you have what reason and your senses deny. Persist in your assumption, and it will become reality. Experiment, see, and remember, the Father who became you is speaking to you through the dream and revealing without vision, because this world is your game. One day, you will leave this game, knowing that you are God the Father who granted everything. Beginning as the only God, we fell as gods but will return to the one God, as all of us are necessary to form the Lord. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. Accept the challenge of the scriptures and assume the feeling of the fulfilled desire, not only for yourself but also for your family and friends. When you imagine for others, you're really giving to yourself, as there is no other. The vast world is simply you projected outward. I hope you've been inspired by this journey of discovery and personal growth. If you wish to continue exploring the power of imagination and learn more about turning your dreams into reality, don't forget to subscribe to our channel by clicking the subscription button. You won't miss any of our upcoming videos filled with powerful knowledge. If you enjoyed the content and found value in this experience, give the video a big like. Your feedback is essential and helps us continue producing relevant content for you and our community of dream explorers. Thank you for being part of this transformative journey. See you in the next videos. Until then, keep exploring, imagining, and creating the life you deserve. Live the answer now.